My name is Margaret Patterson. I'm 67 years old, and by this point in life, I thought I'd learned not to expect fairness. But 3 days after my father's funeral, sitting in the lawyer's office while his will was read, I discovered cruelty has layers I hadn't even imagined. The lawyer's voice was flat, clinical. To my daughter Patricia, I leave my primary residence at 4521 Maple Drive, valued at approximately $950,000. Patricia's perfectly manicured hand tightened around her expensive Hermes purse. She tried to look appropriately somber, but I could see the corners of her mouth twitching. And to my daughter Margaret, I leave the lakehouse property on Clearwater Road. No mention that the lakehouse was a crumbling shack I hadn't stepped into in over 15 years. The moment we walked out, Patricia waited 30 seconds before twisting the knife. "Well, Maggie," she said, using the childhood nickname I hated. "Guess we know who Dad really loved. Guess you were the worst daughter after all." Her laugh was sharp, cruel, the kind that sticks under your skin like a splinter. I wanted to remind her about the 3 years I'd spent driving 2 hours every day to take care of Dad, about the doctor visits, the sleepless nights in his uncomfortable guest chair because he was afraid to be alone. Meanwhile, Patricia visited maybe 6 times in all those years, always too busy with her booming real estate career. But I said nothing. I'd learned, long ago, arguing with Patricia was like wrestling a pig. You both get dirty, but the pig enjoys it. The drive to Clearwater Road took me 47 minutes. The house sat on 2 acres of overgrown weeds. Its porch sagged like an old man's shoulders. Shingles curled up like brittle fingers. "Perfect," I muttered. My sarcasm died the moment I stepped inside. Instead of musty, stale air, the place smelled faintly of lemon oil and vanilla. The hardwood floors gleamed. The furniture was covered, dust-free. And in the kitchen, a pot of coffee, still warm. My hand froze on the doorknob. Someone had been here. Recently. Then came the footsteps. I crept toward the kitchen and stopped dead. A woman was humming while she washed coffee cups at the sink. Silver hair, stylish bob, bright blue eyes. I'd seen her before, smiling in a framed photo on the nightstand, her arm around my father. She turned, drying her hands on a towel embroidered with little ducks. "You must be Margaret," she said warmly. "I'm Eleanor Walsh, your father's companion." Her calmness infuriated me. Companion? My father's mistress, more like. She claimed they'd been together for 7 years, while my mother was still alive, battling cancer. I wanted to scream, but her tone wasn't defensive. It was matter of fact. "Your father was a good man, Margaret. He was drowning. You were drowning. Patricia was absent. He came to me for comfort." I hated her honesty almost as much as I hated Patricia's cruelty. Then, Eleanor laid down her trump card. Legal documents. The lake house? Put into a trust 3 years earlier. She was the beneficiary. Legally, I inherited dirt. The land itself, nothing else. I felt Patricia's laughter echo in my ears. "Guess you were the worst daughter, if only she knew." Then Eleanor handed me a sealed envelope. Dad's handwriting. Inside, a letter that began, "My dearest Maggie, if you're reading this, you've met Eleanor and discovered my secret. Please know this was never meant to hurt you. Let me explain." What followed flipped my world upside down. Patricia had already owned Dad's house for 3 years. She'd manipulated him, using her financial power of attorney, to sell it to herself below market value. Elder financial abuse, in black and white. And the lake house? Dad's survey showed the land alone was worth $1.2 million due to water rights. And beneath the floorboards? He'd hidden evidence of a Native American settlement site, artifacts worth millions and historically priceless. Suddenly, I wasn't the daughter with a worthless shack. I was the daughter with the key to history and the leverage to destroy Patricia. The next day, Archaeologist Dr. Sarah Bennett arrived with equipment that looked like it belonged on Mars. She confirmed everything. The site was massive. Possibly pre-Columbian, 800 years old. We're talking 7 figures minimum, she told me. That night, Patricia texted, "Hope you enjoy your little shack. Maybe turn it into a trailer park, LOL." I smiled. She had no idea. So I called her, played it cool. Mentioned I was considering selling. Mentioned the land might be worth more than Maple Drive. Her silence was delicious. The next morning, she showed up in person. Her BMW skidded into the drive. She stormed inside, her perfume arriving 10 seconds before she did. "What kind of game are you playing, Maggie?" she demanded. I poured myself coffee in Dad's old mug. "Game? I'm just exploring options. Seems the property might be worth more than we thought. Archaeologists are interested." Her face went pale. I showed her Dad's journal, the photographs, the letters. "I want half," she snapped. I laughed, a low, ugly laugh. "Patricia, you already got your half. Remember the $950,000 house you stole? This one's mine." Her voice trembled. "That's different." "No, Patricia," I said, leaning in. "What you did was financial abuse. Dad documented everything. I could take it to the DA tomorrow. But here's my offer. You pay me $475,000. Half the value of Maple Drive, or I ruin you." Her jaw clenched. She signed Eleanor's prepared legal agreement. Sharp strokes of a pen that felt like the sweetest revenge I'd ever tasted. Within days, Dr. Bennett's team uncovered pottery, jewelry, stone foundations. The state called it one of the most significant discoveries east of the Mississippi. National Geographic sent a crew. Reporters swarmed. And Patricia? She tried to insert herself, claiming, "Family is family." The reporter cut her off. "But you didn't inherit this property, did you?" Patricia's smile faltered. "On live TV? And me?" When the reporter asked how it felt to go from the unlucky daughter to one of the wealthiest women in the county, I looked right into the camera. It feels like justice. 6 months later, I was on the cover of Archaeology Today. The Accidental Archaeologist: How One Woman's Inheritance Rewrote History. Patricia never contacted me again. Word is she had to sell Maple Drive, couldn't keep up with the taxes and repairs. The very house she stole, crumbling her finances while my life bloomed. I kept the lakehouse. Started a foundation in Dad's name to support archaeological research. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just the daughter who gave care, who sacrificed. I was the daughter who was valued. The most satisfying moment wasn't the money. It wasn't the cameras. It was Patricia realizing her greed had cost her millions more than she stole. She could have shared, supported Dad, maybe even had a piece of this discovery. But instead, her arrogance left her with nothing but regret. Every time I walk down to the lake, I hear her laugh echo in my memory. "Guess you were the worst daughter." Now, I laugh too. Because sometimes, life gives you a shack, and inside, the sweetest revenge you'll ever know. I've learned something. At 67 years old, sometimes the worst inheritance is the best gift you never knew you needed. And sometimes, the sister who gets everything loses more than she could ever imagine. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. Tell me in the comments, have you ever watched karma catch up to someone? Who deserved it? I'd love to hear your stories. And don't forget, justice always finds its way, sometimes when you least expect it.